Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel for marriage-minded men. Been married to a woman overseas from the Philippines since 2015, and my channel is about marriage-related videos that I know you can learn from. I've got officially about 1,960 videos right now. And for example, today we want to talk about this topic. It's from an article from Mark Travers, who I've cited many times before. This comes from CNBC.com, and it's about people in the happiest relationships and the 5 things they do on weekends that most neglect. I can relate to this since I've been married for 10 years, and I will chime in here with my thoughts. So please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea and leave a comment if you find something here worth commenting on, and get notifications for upcoming videos. And he starts out by saying that if you work full-time, and I did until recently, you already know how much time and effort it takes to master work-life balance. Now, my wife does work full-time and then some. He says, add to that a relationship, and it becomes even harder. As a psychologist who studies couples and who has a working wife, he says he's faced these challenges firsthand. He says, thankfully, my job as both a researcher and husband has taught me how important it is to be intentional about how my wife and I spend our time, specifically on the on the weekends. And so this is some really good information here I wanted to share. If you're married, think about these things. If you're married to a Filipina or married to anybody. And this first one can relate to people that are not married too, but are dating someone they're serious about. And that is, put away your phones. Put away your phones. I'm sure I made video on this before. He says a couple who spends a lot of time together, but is constantly distracted by texts, emails, and social media, probably isn't as happy as a couple who spends less time together, but without their phones. That's why carving out one-on-one time without any interference from technology is so important. And he says, and how you spend that time is actually irrelevant. It doesn't need to be extravagant or planned down to the minute. What matters is presence. Very astute thought there. Because, I'm busy, even though I'm retired. My wife is really busy. And it still seems like we have to struggle to work things out, so we're together during good stretches of time. And the weekend is important for us, but she works every other weekend, sometimes, Saturday and Sunday. So we really have to be, intentional about our time, and our presence is what matters. I'm interjecting here. Like, my wife prefers that we don't eat separately, that if she's cooking and sits down to eat upstairs at the table, that I don't do my preferred thing, which is get my food, come down here and catch up with certain news before I hit the gym. So, I try to make that sacrifice, which is not easy for me, and to eat upstairs. And so we can have that time together. And even then, there's times, if my wife gets on her phone, I'll say, hon, I'm up here, so let's please, not be on our phones. It's not good for either one of us. So everything he's saying here is definitely true. And number 2, things that people do, successful couples in the happiest relationships do on weekends, he says, number 2, they engage in what's called parallel play. Parallel play. He says after a draining week of work, it's normal and even healthy to crave solitude, but it can be hard to choose between me time and we time. Luckily, there's a way to satiate the need for both alone time and bonding simultaneously. It's called parallel play, concept derived from child psychology. It's when 2 people engage in their preferred activity separately, but alongside each other. For couples, this might look like one partner reading on the couch while the other plays their favorite video game next to them. They might not be engaging directly with one another, but they're still intentionally sharing space by de-stressing with an activity they each enjoy. Does that make sense? It's basically a way of saying, I love you, but I also need love to love me for an hour or two. Let's do it together. Just getting away, parallel play. My wife and I do this, I think, when, we're in bed and I'm still looking at any number of things that interest me on my phone. Sometimes I research things, sometimes it's just for pleasure. And she's on her phone doing what she likes to do on it. And we just do that together. And, if I want to say something, I'll say, hey, maybe I'll show her what I'm looking at on my phone, or I'll just talk about something out of nowhere. But at least we're right there together. We may not even necessarily be conversing, but we are spending time together. So again, I like this idea. And it's important, when you're busy and here comes the weekend, you don't want to waste it. Number 3, they create a ritual. I like this as a person of ritual. He says relationships thrive on ritual. Coming home to your partner and knowing that the weekend will bring something familiar, something reliably yours, can be comforting. In fact, research shows that rituals can help couples organize their lives in a way that allows for both change and stability to coexist. Individuals can merge into a shared identity that feels distinct from either person alone. You can ground yourselves together, no matter what chaos surrounds you. What those rituals look like, completely up to you. Don't shy away from cheesy. Could be Sunday morning pancakes, a board game night with the goofy scoreboard on the fridge. He suggests if you're more practical, maybe it's a weekly sit down over a glass of wine to plan out the week, or tackling nagging chores together with your shared playlist in the background. My wife likes to work with music in the background. In fact, so do I. Number 4, this one ought to be controversial, but I agree with him here, and I've said this for years. They put sex on the schedule. Busy couples making time on the weekend, how to use it well, put sex on the schedule. Studies show that I said this to somebody at work like 15 years ago, and they laughed at me, but I think it's a good idea. He says studies show that couples who have a satisfying sex life are more likely to be happier in their relationship, but with endless chores and errands, weekends can start to feel like a second work week. With little time left over for intimacy, sex quickly starts to feel like less of a priority. That's why structured intimacy can be a good thing. Many people think it can diminish spontaneity, but if anything, it actually removes the mental fatigue of trying to make intimacy happen. I'm sure many of you know what he's referring to here. It's also a great way for couples to engage without distraction, all while combating the emotional strain of work. So make it intentional, set a time. I couldn't agree more. Another, I don't know if you call him a sex therapist, marriage therapist, years ago, said something like, well, why don't you, since you know your wife probably sometimes dreads having it, just isn't into it as you are, why don't you say, I get 2 or 3 days a week. I get Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those 3 days, we're going to be intimate. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The other days, I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to hint at it. I'm not going to bring it up. You don't have to worry about having it with me. If they do, they do. But I'm going to have hands off. But I get my 3 days, and you can give me that, and then the rest of the time, you don't have to worry about it. That's another possibility. Let me know if you've come up with some other ways to work intimacy into your busy lives. Last one, number 5, they laugh on purpose. Laugh on purpose. Playfulness, according to research, is one of the most reliable tools couples can use to strengthen their relationship. It can boost relationship satisfaction, ease conflict, and break up the sense of monotony that partners can start to resent. During the week, we unknowingly train ourselves to look for things to stress over, but on weekends, we need to take those goggles off. He says the act of being silly and being met with silliness in return helps us reconnect with the childlike wonder we carry inside that gets buried beneath our responsibilities. No right or wrong way to be playful, he says. Chances are you already know how to make your partner laugh. You just have to remember to do it. Now, most people have probably left this video a long time ago, but one thing my wife and I have done, we did get a dog, and the dog gives us endless pleasure. We love being playful with her and silly with her and talk to her, and it's a lot of fun, and it does relax us. So I'm about to run out of time. Let me know what your thoughts on this, and please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea.